Your eyes jerk around, but you don't notice. You are incapable of moving your eyes smoothly by yourself, but I can help you. Track my finger across the screen. Notice how smooth your eyes move. Now try and do it without my help. You can't. I just taught you something about yourself. Surely that deserves a sub. The only way your eyes will move smoothly is when you are tracking something. But the point is, your eyes move in a haphazard way, around 4 times a second. But why does your vision seem so smooth to you? The answer? I don't know. Scientists don't. But here we are. Pause this video right now. Go and read The Brain by
David Eagleman. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library. This is pretty good, to be fair.
What, the book?
Yeah, The Brain. I enjoyed it.
I think it was quite good, and it didn't waste any time. You know, it
Not
was so
really.
short, and it was just like bang, bang,
Yeah,
bang,
yeah.
bang, bang,
Every
bang.
chapter was like 2.5 minutes long, and within that 2.5 minutes,
You
not a
lost
second was
something.
really wasted,
Yeah,
to be
not
fair.
a
So it was
nanosecond.
like, it's not a micro fifth of a nanosecond of a parsec or whatever. Yeah, so very efficient book, to be fair.
Yeah,
Efficient book, which is what you really want from a book called The Brain.
Yeah.
You know, tell you about your own brain, the passenger, the ghost inside the machine. It's really what you want, to be fair. So, out of 5 stars, you like to go with your 5-star system, I'd probably give
I
it
didn't
4.
have a problem with it. I mean, maybe I wanted something a bit
So
more.
do you start at 5 and mark it down? Or do you just add on stars as you see things you like? Because those will probably get you two different results.
I want, for 5 stars, I want something mind-blowing, and I didn't get mind-blowing.
So you
I don't
can't
think
start
so.
at 5 stars if
I
you're
didn't
looking for
say
mind-blowing.
I
No, I'm just trying to work out which one you're going for.
I didn't think, as I said, I would have liked for it to be mind-blowing, but there was nothing,
Brain-blowing even.
yeah, there was nothing mind-blowing. But it was quite good, but I think we should get into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The human brain is the great slow learner. Giraffes learn to stand within hours. Baby zebras learn to run within 45 minutes of birth, and dolphins are born swimming. By comparison, it takes humans years to be able to develop basic motor skills, years more to be able to effectively string words or sentences together. At first, you might think this is advantageous for other animals, but the reason that they develop so quickly is because their brains are pre-programmed for a particular niche in the ecosystem. I think of it like they have iOS updates to live in specific regions. So they basically come with all the information that they need to live in this specific region. Lions know how to live in the savannah from when they're born. Penguins know how to live in the Arctic from when they're born. But the disadvantage here is that they can't download more iOS updates. They're cut off. They can't adapt to live in other regions. For example, you would never see penguins in the savannah. You would never see lions in the Arctic. You would never see polar bears in the Sahara Desert, for example. They stay where they are. Humans, you see humans in every single place you can walk and go in this planet. You could find a human living, not even necessarily visiting, living. Find humans living in Arctic, in igloos, find humans living in the Amazon rainforest, places that are not very well adapted for humans to be living whatsoever, but because the brain takes so long, our brain takes so long to develop, we just come with this ability to adapt, which I think is very, very, very interesting, and it is one of the reasons we're the dominant species on this planet, along with other things.
Yeah. The thing is, animals do adapt. That's the thing.
Adapt.
Yeah, animals do adapt, and evolution takes time for them to catch up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, even when I was reading the climate change book, and they basically, and I can't remember, Mark Moranis basically said that polar bears went through a warm period or something like that. They were capable of, but obviously they're just not as sophisticated as us, They don't have the opportunity to slow learn. And what we learn about children and their brains and their synapses and the way they connect so quickly in a short space of time. Well, it's not really a short space of time, but they don't have that opportunity. Children have a skill, for example, picking up language. That adults don't have. So when they're in that prime time of learning, they can pick up a lot of things, which is just
they do say children's brains are sponges.
Yeah,
which is a great way of conceptualizing what you mean with that point. I mean, you're right. Buffaloes migrate, bees migrate, birds migrate, so they do move. Areas. Yeah. I'm not saying they stay in a same.
No, I wasn't saying you wasn't.
Yeah, and I know. Just to clarify what I meant, because sometimes we misspeak. We're actually just putting up points from this book. Like, I'm not a specialist in anything that I talk about. Do you know what I mean? Ever. So we're literally just bringing up points from this book. I know we have like a few comments where people like enjoy calling us out on things that we've gotten wrong or whatever. We're literally go and pick a fight with the author. We're just reading it from the book. Do you know what I mean? It's a book review. Read the title. Jesus.
Is this proof that the pen is mightier than the sword? Professor Elizabeth Lawson from the University of California devised an experiment where she had subjects watch videos of car crashes. Then she'd ask them a series of questions. She proved that the way she would ask the questions would influence the answers she received. She said, when I asked how fast were the cars going when they hit each other versus how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other, witnesses would give a completely different answer. They believed that they saw the vehicles going faster when I said smashed. So words clearly are a powerful tool. They can make you misremember things. But could a false memory be implanted into somebody's brain? This was also Professor Elizabeth Lawson's question. She brought in adults and their parents, and she'd get the parents to tell a fake story of the time their child got lost in a shopping mall. They would explain that an old lady found them and brought them home. Upon hearing their parents tell the story, amazingly, at least a quarter of adults could remember the story of them being lost in the mall, even though it didn't happen. Not only that, a week later, the applicants started to remember more details.
Insane.
They talk about the old lady who rescued them, and over time, more and more details crept in. The old lady was wearing a crazy hat, or my mum was so mad. So not only is it possible to plant memories in the brain, but it's also impossible to get people to fantasize, embed, and build on false memories. So my question is, how much of a dickhead would you feel once the scientist said...
come on.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking...
None of that.
Yeah.
None of that.
Jesus Christ. But look, at the end of the day, they probably wouldn't even...
Old lady saved
Legit,
you. Your mum was so bad.
That's peak. Obviously, in the name of science, and in the good name of science, they would never do it like that.
I couldn't hear
Hopefully, we hope they wouldn't.
If that happened to me...
I would have to do that.
That's what I'm
if it was me, I would have to. I'd be like, tell me more. I'd have to.
I'd do what I normally do when I get caught up by a woman. I'd double down.
Double down and be like, no, it did. I swear, I got a picture.
What do you mean I say Janice in my sleep? I don't even know Janice.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. I'd have to die with a lie. But if I'm the doctor, though, I would actually have to take the piss out of them. Because the whole time they're talking, I just thinking, dick.
You know when you got that look on your face?
Yeah, legit.
And
God, idiot. Yes, insane. You know what's actually funny before I even go to my point? It is actually Elizabeth Loftus. I've just double checked it on Google. Elizabeth Lawson is a doctor from
University of California.
Well, Elizabeth that we are referring to is actually from University of California, Irvine, I believe it is. But here it says Elizabeth Loftus, PhD, yada, yada, yada. Information can modify memories. The funniest thing is, with names, I'm typically correct, which is a very, very useless thing to be right about all the time. Well, I could be right about lottery numbers.
I'm gonna show you what I had.
Yeah, because who knows? You could even still be right at this point. This looks right. But anyways, for the purpose, her name's Elizabeth. Doesn't really matter. But
who cares? Right?
I mean, she does. We hope. But no, it is. That's super scary information for me, anyways. Because I was thinking genuinely, and this is I'm about to go into my point as well. Number one thing you trust the most is your eyes, which fool you every single day of your life. Yeah. And the second thing you trust is your memories. And now we know that not only do they fool us, they can be edited at will with words.
But you know what? The funny thing is, before you go into your point, I knew this already because I've been in situations where my memory. So, for example, I was on till one time. I was working in Lidl, and I gave someone their change. Right?
Yeah. 5
minutes later, the woman come back saying, "Oh, you gave me a tenner, or you gave me a tenner when you were supposed to give me a 20 because I gave you a 50."
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I gave you the correct change.
Yeah.
But then she was like, "No, you didn't." Da, 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 da. So then I had to call my manager, and my manager had to come, and then my manager asked me what happened, and he was like, "Did you sure you gave her the right money?" And I said, "Well, now I don't know because I've repeated it so many times." And she repeated, "I don't know, but I'm pretty sure," and that's what happens, So I knew, your memory is not perfect, but I didn't know this is an actual fact. I thought it was just me. but everybody's stupid.
It's not just me. It's everybody. 100%. I know a load of people are thinking that right now. Like, look, we'll take any opportunity. We'll take any opportunity to absolve ourselves of blame. It's like when we was talking about like how the human body puts fat onto its body. I know there's loads of people say, it's not me. I can continue eating them cakes. But it's genuinely scary information that like you can trust your memories even less than you thought you could, because like everyone knows on a certain level your memories are not perfect. Like you struggle to remember things all the time, but for what you do remember, you do trust what you do remember, which is why people will like fight to defend. Verbally they'll fight.
You know what? A girl told me that she had a dream, right? And she was talking, this is an extensive dream. She said, I never normally dream or whatnot, right? And I said, did you know scientists say that you forget 95% of your dream within 5 minutes of you waking up? So whatever you've just remembered is just 5%. Yeah. She was like, no, that can't be true. No. And it's when that's just what it is. It's not, I didn't make that up, but whatever you've got in your head, you're so certain about it, you know, that you're rejected everything from everybody else.
It's tough because we're sealed inside skulls for the entirety of our lives. We have do you know how hard it must be to accept an alternate perspective, because you've never had one inside your head. You'll never actually see. I'll never see the world from your eyes. I could sit in that chair, for example, when you're not here, but like I would never feel like I would never be Elijah just because I'm sitting in the chair, see the world exactly how you see it.
Unfortunately for you.
Very, very, very fortunately for me. But it's genuinely scary information, and the scariest part is there's nothing we can do about it. There's no different way for us to live our lives based upon what we've learned. Yeah. Or what we think we've learned based on what we remember.
This is a complete waste of time.
It's a complete waste of everybody's time. But since Elizabeth wasted our time, we're wasting your time. How many times a day do you think... Elizabeth Lofts. Anyways, how many times a day do you think... How many thoughts have you had since I just asked that question? The human brain is a random thought generator. In 2005, the National Science Foundation published an article regarding research about human thoughts per day. The average person has anywhere from 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. Of those, 95% are exactly the same repetitive thoughts as the day before, and about 80% of your thoughts are negative. This is what they said. 95% of your thoughts you thought yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. Because, like, look, you wake up, you go to work, you're thinking the same things, you're driving the same route, you know, you're lifting the same things. You're doing the same things. You're thinking the same things over and over and over again, which is why you don't remember anything you did today. Because you've done it again and again and again. And 80% of your thoughts are negative as well, which just makes total sense to me, because...
That's why everybody's so depressed.
That's why everyone's so depressed. 80% of your thoughts are negative. You're literally beating yourself up for 80% of your thinking time. There's just demons in your head. But that is genuinely crazy, because not only does it sound far-fetched, but at the same time, it makes perfect sense to me. Like, so much of your thoughts you just think over and over and over again.
I think, they say the best way to organise your thoughts is to keep a diary and note it down. Because if you start noting things down, then you can actually
recognise patterns.
You can recognise patterns, and you can get somewhere in terms of you organise your thoughts. So that might be an idea. Because if you did that, maybe... you know, you would get somewhere in terms of your mental capacity, because there is kind of waste. It's a bit wasteful. I mean, in terms of, you know, if we're talking about human evolution, it's a bit wasteful to think about the same thoughts where you're doing it 60,000 times a day.
95% of 60,000 is... Jesus
That's
Christ.
a lot.
That's a lot. Let's not even go... Like, to go into the numbers would be... You know, I'd have to be good at maths. I'd have to be able to count. Ugh. But, it's a lot.
It should be 3,000. If you take away 3,000 from 60,000, that should be 95%.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
If only there was some manner of machine with which we could calculate this. You know, we need AI.
My turn.
I was mad to say that at the same time.
Yeah. Did you know children and adults have the same amount of brain cells? It's about how those cells are connected. So from birth, babies' brain cells are disjointed, but within the first 2 years of life, children's brain cells start connecting rapidly. About 2 million brain cells or synapses connect a second. By age 2, they'll have 100 trillion synapses, which is double the amount that adults have. So the cells that are needed connect, and the ones that don't weaken and die. So as you can see, babies are flexible down to a cellular level. And this is part of the reason why babies can just pick up the language from their mother, which is amazing. Imagine just picking up a language with no language to reference the words. That's a skill that babies have that we as adults do not. Babies' brains are comparable to a sponge. They soak up the language. So for example, an English baby would learn to notice subtle sounds in the English language. So for example, difference between R and L. So for example, rice and lice. Unlike, for example, a Japanese baby that wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the R's and L's, and that's why they say egg fry life. So yeah,
I would just like to apologize to the Japanese viewers of Japanese descent.
That's why they say it.
Any kind of.
that's why
Asian.
they say it, because they don't actually
Yeah,
have that in their language, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy how much we think we understand, or how much we understand that we think everyone understands, when really it's a part of a framework that we were just part of. So, for example, that story about the guy with the eyes that got his eyes back, and he literally just said, "I'm seeing, but I don't know what anything is."
Yeah, that is.
Do you know what I mean? That's just so hard to conceptualize.
And if-
They said a guy had like his eyes were damaged and his retinas were scorched or something, and they did an operation and they gave him new eyes. Essentially, let's call it new eyes.
For the first time in his life.
For the first time in
He was
his
born like
life,
that,
because
yeah.
he couldn't see, he never could see, and like he said, he woke up and he was seeing his children and stuff, and he just didn't know. He could see everything, but he didn't know what anything was like.
And
There
for
was
him to calm himself down, he would close his eyes and live his life blind. Basically.
100%. So he's driving, yeah, and like they're going under a bridge, and he thinks they're about to crash into something massive rectangle, and he's just like, "Why is no one panicking?" And they're just like, "It's a bridge, we're going under it," and he's like, he just doesn't know what it is. That's so weird. You don't know what anything is.
Yeah, and the only reason why I can kind of conceptualize that is because that's how computers look at the world. Because if you don't give them references, it's like, that catch bar? Like when you do, for example, capture. Yeah. So the reason why they do that, you have to type in what you see, is because the computer can see the image, but it cannot conceptualize what is there. It's only us that can see the letters inside.
And it'll ask you like human questions.
Yeah,
like click all the squares with a boat in it, and it'll have a boat like an inch in,
because the
and
computer
things
can't
like that.
tell. It's looking at the world,
Genuinely
but it
don't know.
can't conceptualize anything because it can just see a picture.
100%. That's exactly how you get. That's how you get them.
Well, we teach them how to conceptualize things now, so.
And they learn much, 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 much faster than us, and to a much better standard as well. So it's quite dangerous. Albert Einstein was great with his fingers. So when they examined Albert Einstein's brain, they hoped to find the secret of his genius. Maybe they expected to find a tiny alien in there feeding him secrets. I don't know what they thought they was going to find. Instead, they found that the area of his brain that controlled his left fingers was significantly enlarged. The conclusion was that Albert Einstein was a passionate player of the violin, and a common theme found in the studying of brains of violin players was that the same areas of the brains were found to be enlarged. Pianists were found to have similarly affected areas of the brain, but for both hands. So you practice something over and over and over again, and it genuinely builds up the area of your brain that is responsible for that muscle movement. So, like, I'm a bartender. I do the same movements again and again and again. If you could study my brain, there'd be certain parts of my brain that are just bigger, because I do them every single day. And it's genuinely crazy. You're actually working a muscle. Like, when you study something and you feel like you can't get it, you're genuinely working a muscle, which is probably helps when you're trying to. It probably helps to remember that if you're trying to learn the piano for whatever reason, and you feel like your fingers can't do, what you see pianists do, is because the areas of your brain haven't been worked out enough yet, which I think is super interesting, and I'm going to learn everything.
Yeah, because I do certain hand movements all the time, and you think that my brain's developed in certain ways.
One for your right arm must be thick, innit? Mighty.
Listen, both hands, pal.
I said wristy twisty 3000.
Sometimes the mouth.
You had to take it too far.
Well, it's not really, is it? As you know,
isn't it?
Oh gosh, I just composed myself. As you know, your cells die and replenish every second of the day. This means that every 7 years, you are an entirely new you. If you are constantly changing, then who exactly is you? For example, when you were 5 years old, or 10, or 15, or 20, you were a completely different person for each of those ages, and you are a completely different person to who you are now. Is our memories the only thing that connects our disconnected lives? If you lost your memory, would you still be you? If you forgot your interests and hobbies, your family members, your favourite foods, would you still be you? So maybe it's our memories that is the you we've been looking for. Is our fragile memories the only thing we can rely on to know who we are?
That's a very interesting question, and it only really gets more and more. It gets more and more peak from here on out. Like the more do you know what I mean?
Because like, we know how rubbish our memories
exactly,
are.
exactly.
Done.
And it's like, done. First of all, not only is it done, but it's like all the things we rely on to tell us who we are things that basically don't really exist anyways. Yeah. So like your favorite foods doesn't exist because like you don't even know why you like this food and you don't like that food. So that doesn't exist. No, yeah, like, your favorite color doesn't exist because it's only because of the color. So you don't even know what colors are. Like your favorite movies don't exist.
Exactly. Even like, for example, stereotypical. You're walking down the road, old lady in front of you, money flies out of her purse. People would think to themselves, "Oh, I'm gonna give that money back because I'm not that kind of person."
Yeah, like what kind of?
If
person?
you don't have your memories anymore,
100%.
Am I that kind of person?
100%. It's 100%, and it's not even. You don't even need to lose your memories to actually just steal that money because all you need is a right reason to steal them. And the thing is, who doesn't need more money? If Jeff Bezos and these lot need more money, then you can best believe that you and I need more money. 100% enough to steal it if we feel like we can get away with it, which is like what we said the other week. But yeah, no, 100%. All the things we rely on to tell us who we are, like our likes, our dislikes, like our personality, like your favourite movie. Yes, it's all the same movie over and over again. It's different actors, different cast, different details, but it's the same movie.
If you could speak to your former self, even if it's 5 or 10 years ago, you would speak to yourself and you'd clearly recognise that isn't you anymore.
Yeah.
But that means you are only temporary. You're only in the present, which we can't actually detect.
So what you're saying is you don't exist. I feel like this is where this is going anyways.
I don't know.
I mean, it's just inching closer and closer to the... So we don't exist, basically.
Yeah, I don't.
We're not the concept of us that we think exists. Like, we physically exist, but beyond that... And we not even sure we physically exist as well. So we can't...
It could all be a VR.
Yeah.
We could all be in augmented.
But then physically exist would not mean anything either. So maybe nothing means anything. Maybe we are the universe trying to experience itself.
So the whole kind of kind of worms. Let's not. The football's on soon. It's coming on.
Multitasking is actually impossible. Now, we've all heard the popular joke that men can't multitask and women can't parallel park. Well, as it turns out, nobody can multitask and only women can't parallel park. 1-0. 1-0 the ladies. When we win the Euros, it's going to be 2-0. Anyway, what we call multitasking is actually switch tasking. We're quickly switching back and forth between tasks as opposed to doing them at the same time. So let's say you drive the same route to work over and over and over again, and you do, which you do. You build up a level of automaticity. So you learn to do it without thinking, without diverting too much processing power to it, because you're doing the same movements over and over again. Your hands basically know where to move.
It's almost like the exercise thing we were talking about. When you run 5k every day, your body figures out how to do it using less energy.
Exactly. So your body's a lot smarter than you. But in all seriousness, though, your body's very, very, very clever and will regulate itself. So if you're doing the same thing over and over again, you'll be like, oh, we've done this before. We've done this 8,000 million times. We remember how to do it. So we're doing it. Your hands are moving where your hands need to be moving. Your feet are doing the pedals. You're going where you need to be going. But the instant, maybe you're doing something at the same time. Maybe you're listening to music at the same time. You're listening to a podcast. Actually, I like a podcast, maybe. But you get to the lights.
We'll listen to that.
We'll listen to that shit. Remember that guy that literally said, "Yeah, I watched all your videos. You lot shit." I was like, "Fair enough. You watched all of them, though." But it could have been that shit. Could have been that shit. But yeah, nah. So let's say you get to the lights now. What do? You turn on the music so you can see better. So not only are all your senses connected, but at the same time, your brain knows when to redirect processing power back to when you need it and take it away from when you don't need it. So you're thinking, oh, okay, I need to pay attention here. I could have a collision or whatever. Let's turn down the music so I'm not paying attention to... You can't multitask. You're switch tasking. You switch into the music, you switch out from the music. You cannot multitask. So it is very, very interesting that we have this idea of multitasking as a concept. It even increases the risk of errors in both tasks if you try to multitask. Do you know what I mean? So it's like... It's interesting that we have this idea that humans can do more than one thing at once. You can be performing different tasks at once, but you won't be thinking about both. You'll be switching back and forth. Switch out.
I saw there's a scene in iRobot where Sonny is drawing a picture.
Yeah,
and he's doing both hands.
And you're like, humans can never do that.
Never do
in their life. And it looks like a photo when he's finished as well. So it's literally just like, this is the reasons why AI must wipe us all out, because it's better in every single way. I can't wait to download my consciousness into them robots. I can't wait.
Shit.
I can't wait.
Wipe, delete.
Legit. Backspace.
People. Yeah. People think of the brain with specific regions, and different things only happen in those regions. This is not the case. Think of a busy city. Does it make sense to ask, now which part is their economy? You know? This is a similar story with your brain. The economy is deeply embedded within your brain. No neighborhood works in isolation. Just as trains and lorries bring textiles and goods in and around the city, so do raw electrical signals along the superhighways of neurons to help you construct the reality around you. So that's basically a misconception. People think that the brain has this region and that region and only things happen, but it's all over. And
if you're left brain, you're going to be good at maths, you know.
Yeah,
if
that's...
right brain,
well, I don't think anyone believes that anymore. Yeah. No one believes that shit anymore.
If you walk around like this, you're good at maths. You walk around like that. Well, yeah, no. But that is a very interesting... because, you know, when you look at diagrams of the brain, you always see this section is for, and that section is for... and it's really not a very good conceptualization of how your brain works, if your brain works at all.
And neuroscientists, you know, there's lots of things they actually have no idea. I mean, I would say most things they don't really understand. We just believe we understand at the present time until we can
have an idea.
Until we can prove that we don't.
We have an idea that we're like, I'm happy to sign up to this until we find something better, basically.
Yeah, it's better than nothing, right?
It's better than nothing. It's not nothing. London taxi drivers are geniuses. Did you know that in order to earn their badge, London taxi drivers have to pass a massive geographical examination called The Knowledge that tests their familiarity with the city? So the way it works is you get sent a book called The Blue Book, and it has 320 different routes in it. They're called runs, all within a 6-mile radius of Charing Cross Station. To be a black cab driver in London, you're expected to memorise every single route to perfection. So you turn up at the examination, the examiner has a massive map of London on the table.
Because he doesn't even know it.
I know exactly, because why would you know it, freak? And then there's obviously tables angled, so you're here, you can't see it. And they're on the map, so they'll give you 2 points. They'll say, so Elijah, where is Eastcheap? Where is New Bond Street? And you'll have to be like, it's here, it's in this district, it's in that district. And they'll be like, so give me the shortest route between those 2 points, naming every single street along the way. And you'll have to name, I would turn left onto this street, and I would turn right onto this street, and I would head forward onto that street, and go around the roundabout. You expect to memorise and be able to read off everything. Everything. Yeah. Like all the routes. So it is how big are their brains then? Taxi drivers. Because you get into a black cab, and you say, yeah, take me to wherever. They're like, yeah, mate. You know, no sat nav, nothing. They know how much it costs, everything. Yeah. So how big are their brains? Doesn't that make them geniuses? Is that why we kind of connect good memory with intelligence? Because your brain's getting bigger as you're memorizing.
Well, we didn't know that, but that is actually a good point, actually. And they did. I think I read something along the lines. I don't know if they've actually studied the cab drivers' brains after they've died, but they've scanned them and they know that their brains have actually evolved. You know,
they must have done, because that's a different level. In fact, I think there is precedent to say that we connect intelligence and very, very, very good memory. Because, like, let's say I had a book and I read the book and I could recite it word for word without looking at it. People would be like, "Oh, he's a genius." When I might just have good memory. I might be stupid. I just have good memory.
You might not understand it.
You might not even have any clue what any of the words mean, but I'm just reading it from my memory. I think eidetic memory is what they call it. But yeah, that's insane. You think you could do that? Learn? They said it takes like a couple years to learn. Definitely. To learn the roots.
I think it's a waste of time.
I saw a guy doing it. I saw a video of a guy doing it, and they literally said, "Yeah, what's the shortest route?" And he just reeled them off.
It's a waste of time in my opinion. We've got sat navs now that is completely pointless, and even cabbies use sat navs as well.
Yeah, cabbies do use sat navs in some situations, but it's not necessarily about the need to have it.
No, back in the day it was though.
No, not back in the day, but I'm saying now it's a thing where they're trying to preserve a tradition.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason for it, because London's a very tourist-driven city, so they're trying to preserve a tradition. Like the black cab, you get into black cab, you know, and they're wearing them flat caps.
I don't know how long they plan to keep it up though. I mean,
my God,
let's get rid of the black cabs, you know.
Well, they'd have to get rid of the route masters.
Get rid of the red buses. That's all stupid as well.
Is it stupid? Because it brings in money, innit? When you go to certain areas. Well, listen, when I used to work in Kensington, the amount of Asian people in Kensington who are there thinking they're going to meet, you know, Prince William and that, because it's called the Royal Borough. The amount of people who are there, like you go to Whitehall, you go to Trafalgar Square, where do you see shops, like souvenir shops? Like Union flag. Like, must bring in a lot of money. The royal family, they're literally there to bring in money.
No, the black cabs don't.
Oh, they do. they bring in money for them. They charge a lot.
Your memory is not a video recorder. Memory is a fragile brain state from a bygone time resurrected for your benefit. Let me give you an example. You are at a restaurant for your friend's birthday. Everything you experience triggers a specific brain activity. There's a pattern of activity that triggers from the conversation between you and your friends. Another activity is sparked from the smell of coffee, and another from the taste of the delicious French cake. A different set of neurons is triggered when the waiter accidentally puts his thumb in your cup. All of these constellations become linked together in a vast social network in your hippocampus that plays over and over until those associations are fixed. The cells that were activated at the same time become fixed together, which creates a unique sensory fingerprint. In other words, cells that fire together wire together. Now let's say 6 months later you taste one of those French cakes. That sensory input can trigger and unlock the rest of those experiences, which could make them all come flooding back. It's almost like the lights coming back after a power cut in a city at night time.
That is a good way to conceptualize it, I think, because you get an exact idea of what that might be like. Because in your brain, like for your brain, I mean, like with the whole power thing with the city, you get a very vivid idea of what that could mean for your brain and what that might even feel like, for example. But here's an example. I'm pretty sure
me sometimes, and it happens to women as well. You know, like sexual experiences, like they will be thinking they talk about flashbacks and stuff.
Yes,
but
I've heard.
But yeah, no, that does happen to me though. Sometimes I'll be smelling something and I'll be like, I've tried this food before, you know. Yeah, and it would be like years ago,
unlock core memories.
Years ago, I'd be like, fucking hell, you know.
That's crazy. Even the concept of what we call core memories, you know, memories that make up our core, is like, are those really, or are they just super old memories that we've forgotten about because they're not even that important? But what I think is interesting is something probably everybody can relate to. Have you ever smelled an alcohol and remember the time you almost died from drinking that alcohol?
There's drinks I can't drink to this day because thinking about it,
yeah,
I don't even smell it. Like Glenn's,
oh my
Glenn's
god,
vodka.
Glenn's, Bell's.
If I
Bell's
think
whiskey.
about that, I start gagging.
Yeah, Glenn's is not. It's not what you want to be on.
So,
it's not definitely not what you want to be on. You know what? You know what Chloe likes? Sambuca. She loves it. Sambuca, you know.
She shots it.
She buys two, and she'll try and give me one, and I'll be like, I did one, and I said that was the worst mistake. Nah, and then she did it. She bought it in again. I said, yo, you're built different.
I will do it because I'm not a bitch.
You better do it if you do it.
Yeah, I will do it, but it's not my go-to. I'd rather tequila.
Listen,
I'd rather tequila.
Tequila's not great.
Tequila's
not great. But
Sambuca's disgusting.
It's the worst. Listen, come on. A piece of brain matter the size of a grain of sand can contain up to 100,000 neurons and 1 billion synapses. The size of a grain of sand. So it's very, very true what my man said. I always forget his name when he said the most complicated thing that exists on the planet. Because Jordan Peterson, I always forget his name. But that is genuinely insane. Like we said, your brain can't even count up to that. Do you know what I mean? You can't even reach that. You can't even conceptually. You can't even count to that. An average human brain weighs about the same as half a gallon of milk, is mostly water and fat, and contains 86 billion neurons and up to 100 trillion synaptic connections. So now we're getting into different levels of numbers that don't mean anything to anybody. You'll never count up to that. There's not enough things in the world for you to see that you could count to get up to that. And they said it's more than the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. That is probably the bombshell. First of all, that sounds like bullshit to me. Like, even if, like, you couldn't count to disagree. Do you know what I mean? Someone says that, you'll be like, well, I want to disagree.
You couldn't count to disagree, you couldn't count to agree.
Do you know what I mean? But if somebody says, well, I've counted, now what? There's an app that can count for me. But, it's insane numbers that we're talking about. And it just goes to show, what are you doing with your super complex, super efficient, super complicated brain?
Fucking
nothing.
But do you know what? Something you said before, not this point, I think it was the point before, but you said, your body's super intelligent. And then I started speaking about exercise, but you were saying that it's, the multitasking, your body's super intelligent and it will remember certain things, but it's not your body, it's your brain.
Yeah.
And your brain's doing these things, and your brain's you.
Yeah.
You are your brain. I don't know how it works, but your brain's doing all these things behind the scenes,
your brain's
and
the
it's
driver.
hiding it from you.
Your brain's the driver, your body's the vehicle, and your brain is constantly moving your vehicle, even when you think it's you. But you and your brain are one and the same. So it could do it. You can do things subconsciously. You can do things consciously. Have you ever twitched in your sleep? Women say. What I'm saying is, women say men always twitch in our sleep. That's what we say. Like Chloe says to me, I twitch in my sleep randomly. And apparently, what I heard. Yeah, go for it. What I heard this was I don't know how true this is, but it sounds very, very plausible to me. I heard it was sometimes you stop breathing in your sleep and your body's like, wake up, you're gonna die.
I do
so that is essentially what that is. But that means your body's always moving. You breathe without really thinking about it, and that's your lungs expanding, contracting. So it definitely makes sense that what if your brain just takes over?
Well, I think your brain needs you, and the reason why is because it needs you to make bad decisions. Because a bad decision is better than no decision. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail.
So I'm not a failure.
Yeah.
I'm great at making bad
decisions.
You're
a failure, but we need you.
We need you to keep being a failure.
Because we can then see that we made a bad decision and then change that in the future. But I'll
No, we don't do that.
Well...
we keep making the bad decision. Double down. Don't back down. Double down.
Another beer.
Yeah, literally.
2. If light is faster than sound... then why is the gunshot of a pistol used to start the 100-meter sprint? If light is faster than sound, why not use a flash? The reason is because although light is faster than sound, we process light quite a bit slower than sound. 190 milliseconds to 160 milliseconds. Light is more complicated for us to perceive. It has to go through more neurons for us to comprehend what we are seeing. So it takes us 190 milliseconds, but for light, but only 160 milliseconds for sound. But if that's true, why is it that when you clap your hands, you don't hear the sound before you see it? The reason is, just waiting for them to do it. The reason is,
how many do you think they did it? Yeah, we got you.
They
did
got you. They did do it.
Yeah, we got you.
The reason is your brain is tricking you. Your brain gathers all the information from all the senses before you decide what you're actually seeing. This means by the time something has happened in the moment, it is already gone. We actually live in the past. We are incapable of experiencing the present, which is interesting.
That is very interesting, and it's present. We're ever chasing. Yeah, we're ever chasing the present. We're ever chasing it, and we'll never get there. We can't get there. It's not possible. But again, the present is a concept, so we're not supposed to get there, really. But that is actually interesting. I've never actually thought about it. There's nothing there.
Nothing's there. If you're there, imagine having a conversation with someone, you're in the present, and you say something, and you have to wait there, like the sloth in Zootropolis. Yes, everyone's moving like a sloth to you. You say a joke, and he's like this.
Waiting to get to the present. But that's the thing. By the time they get there, you ain't there no more. So you actually don't even see them react. You ain't there no more. You're in the present. You're in the present. Yeah. They're in the past.
Yeah.
So they can't clash. Those are concepts we invented to try and perceive what we think time might be because we can't see it. And we rely on our eyes more than we rely on anything else other than memories. And no, we rely on our eyes more than we rely on memories. So if we can't see something, we have no idea what to even make of it.
I don't even want to start a conversation about time.
Make your head hurt.
Because time's obviously only is measured. Our time is on this planet. When you go to Mars, it's different. Yeah. Year's different.
Well, the clocks are different.
Everything's different.
Do you know what I mean?
When you go outside the galaxy, something else happens. But things still happen, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So the clocks are different. So the time is not actually different. The clocks are different. Do you know what I mean? And the clocks we invented the clocks.
The time is different.
Is it?
Well, because you can go. Listen, all the information I know is from Interstellar. But they go to different. They go to
better Wikipedia.
They go to a different galaxy and they come back and only no time has happened there, and then 80 years has happened over here.
What in Interstellar?
Interstellar. They go into a different galaxy. So basically, the guy he FaceTimes his daughter every night.
Yeah.
And then the mission goes wrong, and they're going to find a different planet that is habitable.
Yeah.
They got to go down to the surface, into the atmosphere, and the time zone is different. And he says to his daughter, the time's gone already. 20 years has gone. He hasn't even gone to the planet yet. 20 years is gone, and he's looking at his daughter, and his daughter's getting old, and he's like, shit, I need to get back so I could actually be there for my daughter.
Yeah.
He's like, when I go down to this planet, apparently every second I'm there is an hour where you are. Anyway, something happens. He comes back. His daughter's 90 years old.
Oh God!
Just from going down, and he's like, obviously, it's a
That's
film.
insane.
It's a
Yeah,
film.
it's for dramatic licensing reasons. They will obviously have put certain things in there.
But
twisted
the
the facts.
point is, we just don't know how.
Bro, I watched this YouTube video where this guy said you can see to the beginning of the universe. This is what he said. He literally said, because if light travels 186,000 miles per second, light has a speed, right? That means light takes time to get places. So let's say, for example, if you can see far enough out, you can see things as they were before the light has reached you. So let's say you look 7 light years out. You're seeing that 7 as it was 7 years ago, because it takes 7 years for the light to get to you.
Well, yeah, that's why they know. That's why they know what happened with the Big Bang.
Yeah, so they can look back
stars,
in time.
They look at stars super far away that are forming in different.
Yeah, so looking at a star 200 million light years ago, you're seeing it as it was 200 million years ago. It's seeing into the past. It's insane.
Yeah.
Scientists get paid to talk about this shit. It's nonsense. What is personality? Who are you? Who are you? What are you doing in my house? No joking. Charles Whitman was an ex-Marine and American mass murderer who became known as the Texas Tower Sniper. On July 31st, 1966, he stabbed his wife and mother to death in their respective homes before proceeding to the University of Texas the next day in possession of multiple firearms. He opened fire indiscriminately, killing 11 people and wounding a further 31 before he was fatally shot by Texas law enforcement. During a suicide note that they found at his residence, it was Whitman's wish that an examination of his brain be conducted after death. During this autopsy, they discovered Whitman had a brain tumour the size of a penny that was applying pressure to his amygdala, a gland in the brain which acts as a processing centre for emotions. So a brain tumour the size of a coin of inconsequential monetary value was basically causing this guy to become an entirely different person. They said, he said he was having headaches that were getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and violent thoughts that were getting worse and worse and worse. And he went to 5 different doctors. They all prescribed him different medicines, and he was literally just stabbing up his wife, stabbing his mother. I don't know why I'm doing this. He was like, my mother's never been anything but lovely to me. My wife is the best wife any man could ask for. And he said, he just knew they was in pain and he had to free them from pain.
So if you was the judge, you letting him off?
That's such a good question, because he was literally just I truly believed I was doing the right thing. It is insane. Nobody who ever knew him thought him to be violent or to act erratically. It was totally out of character, because something this size, they said it was the size of a pecan, and made him act totally out of character. I say all this to say, I looked it up, and Charles Whitman's middle name is Joseph. And I said, why? Yeah. Why is it always every single, whether it is the doctor from Auschwitz who's torturing people, whether it's Stalin who killed 20 million people, 20 million. Hitler only killed 6 million Jews. 20 million is insane numbers. Whoever it is, Michael Jackson's dad beating his children, whoever it is someone somewhere being a menace called Joseph. Ryan Giggs, his middle name is Joseph.
Joseph the multicolored coat.
Do you know what I mean?
He was a menace.
Listen,
his brothers
he was the only one. He was the only good one. And me, of course. But Ryan Giggs, his middle name is Joseph. We all know.
And he was fucking his brothers.
Oh, multiple. Hey, listen, we know what he was doing. But yeah, that's incredible. 20 million, Stalin. That is the entire population of Somalia, It's the entire population. Somebody's going to have to stand up, restore honour to our name, because it isn't going to be me.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yes, not you.
With your top shop trousers.
And our chairs from, what did he say that was from?
Do you know what someone else said? They said, why don't you not just buy 2 chairs instead of sitting on half a sofa each?
That's such a strange question to ask.
I know, right? But it's the
same thing. It's the same thing. What difference would it actually make?
Did you know, when describing your family or friend to somebody, you are much more likely to paint them in a good or bad light depending on what drink you have in your hand? And I'm not talking about an alcoholic beverage.
I'm instantly disinterested.
If you are holding a cold beverage, you are more likely to paint them in a negative light, whereas if you are holding a warm drink, you are more likely to say good things about them. This is because your senses that detect interpersonal warmth overlap with your senses that detect physical warmth. This means that something as fundamental as your relationship with your mother can be manipulated by whether you take your tea hot or with ice. Furthermore, when you're in a foul-smelling environment, you are more likely to judge a moral situation harshly. Another study showed that if you sit in a hard chair, you're more likely to be a hard bargaining negotiator, but in a soft chair, you yield more. Do we really believe we consciously make decisions? Do we really?
I mean,
You know?
we can believe what we want, but the evidence is always going to be against us. Like we said, like judges will give you a harsher sentence if they ain't had lunch yet. Do you know what I mean?
'Cause they mistake their gut feeling for hunger. They think that gut feeling is about you, but it's their hunger. You know?
That's insane.
Yeah.
So imagine I've got 20
You're not
years
you
now.
when you're hungry.
Yo, Jesus Christ.
Get some
You
nuts.
literally get some nuts. It's insane. I've got 20 years because the judge didn't have his Weetabix.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's insane. That's not justice. Like, how can it be? But yeah, we really don't make decisions based on what we think we make decisions on. And there's nothing scarier than that, really, because we're so sure of everything we do. We're so certain that we're doing the
so
right thing.
sure.
Like, we sometimes are immovably certain. As in, like, say what you want. I'm not changing my mind.
Yeah, and you got these woke people that believe they're completely logical and they think about everything that they do, and they are really just a collection of feelings and emotions that are fighting for power.
Yeah,
that's literally what you are—a collection of feelings.
That's right.
And
That's it. Yeah, it's not good, man. It's
not
good.
I think I've got one more.
I've got two. No, I've got three more. So let me go then. There is a medical term for brain freeze. It is sphenopalatine ganglia neuralgia. You drink or eat something that's too cold and it chills the blood vessels and arteries in the very back of your throat, including the ones that take blood to your brain. These constrict when they're cold and they open back up when they're warm again, causing the pain in your forehead. This is your brain saying, stop doing that. And what do? We do it again. It's so
that's actually quite fascinating. Do you
I
think
know,
you
right?
can kill yourself then?
I honestly think your brain thinks you can, which is why it's trying to stop you. Your brain's literally like, stop. Like, it's not funny, bro.
So is your brain causing the pain, or is what you're doing causing the pain to your brain?
I think, like we always say, pain is an alarm, and your brain probably sets off the alarm to stop you from doing it, to discourage you from.
Hurt.
Whoa, they said your brain can't experience pain.
Yeah, that's why it has no pain receptors.
It has no pain receptors, so
what is that
it just
feeling
triggers
then?
them. It triggers. It don't
It's
do that
lying
again
to you.
Yeah, it is lying to you.
You is your brain.
So you're lying to yourself. Nothing new there then.
You're trying to trick yourself.
Nothing new there then. Yeah, no, it's mind boggling.
Did you know your brain had no
phrase.
pain receptors?
Well, not before I read this book.
Yeah, when I read
that, I said, so everything's a lie.
Yeah.
I've never been in pain.
Yeah, well,
How can you even be in pain?
I don't
Do
know.
you know what I mean?
So basically, yeah. So who experiences it then? Because think about it. If your brain can't feel it,
who spent my money? Do you know what I mean?
So let's say you get a slap on your hand, right? Your brain is detecting that.
Yeah.
But if there was some way to turn that off, you wouldn't feel pain.
And there's some people who can't. I'm not sure what that condition is called, but
Yeah.
there's some people that just don't feel pain. So there's those pathways or whatever is going from their brain to the affected area is broken.
But you would, I guess.
So they can't feel pain. But that is interesting, you know, because we like to do like these
But
things.
if it's your brain that is the one that's sensing the pain, why is it when we inject anaesthetic, we're not injecting it into our brain? Why is it we're injecting it here?
So it can travel
to the
from the same place. So it can travel from the same, because if the pain's going there, if the pain's going to your brain from there, the anaesthetic's going there. Do you know what I mean? And you inject it into the affected area, and your brain says, right, shut down that affected area because it's gone to the brain. From the bloodstream, it goes into your bloodstream. Your blood goes to the brain. You know, that's my best guess, because obviously we would never know as long as we live. Your memories can be hacked with questions. This is the one I should have had second. We trust our eyes more than any other representation of data we have, and they are notoriously, infamously untrustworthy. The thing we trust the second most, however, is our memories, which are even more untrustworthy. For example, let's say someone smashes up your car, Elijah, and you take them to court, and I'm your lawyer, and I say, Mr. Elijah, how devastated were you when you saw what had happened to your beautiful car? That question is very different from, Mr. Elijah, how did you feel when you saw the damage to your car? Because you hear, you know, how devastated were you? You start thinking, oh, I was devastated. My car is beautiful. You know, they deserve to die for what they did. And you'll start building up all these concepts in your head that you may not have even felt at the time. So in court, they call that a leading question. They don't even allow it in some situations because they're literally like, you're leading the witness where you want them to go, you know? Because these kind of questions, they can contaminate your memories and they lead people to conclusions that you've set up for them because their memories are untrustworthy. Professor Elizabeth Loftus from the University of California, Irvine, proved just how unreliable our memories could be with a study where she showed applicants a video of a car crash and then asked a series of questions. And obviously we went over this, yada, 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 smashed versus hit each other, and there was different estimates of the speed because people, constructed a car crash in the head when you hear the word smash and you think, oh, I know what a smash is. So that must have been going much faster than crash because we build levels to things in our heads as well. Yeah. That must have been much faster than just hit because anyone could hit, you start building up these ideas of things in your head. And memories are just crucial for every way that we even think about things, because they say mind's eye, you can't really see things in your head. You're just remembering what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it's like, vaguely what a car crash looks like, or maybe you've seen a car crash, maybe you've seen it on a movie, and you think, well, it must have been going pretty fast if it's smash. And we just take her out a word, and it's super interesting how people can hack your brains and hack your memories.
Yeah,
and put shit in there that was never in there in the first place. So and this is the thing we trust the second most out of any of our senses, really. You would trust your memories over what you can hear, you would trust your memories over what you can smell, you trust your memories over everything other than what you can see. Yeah. And all she did was change one word in the sentence.
Yeah,
the slightest
and harness
difference.
That power. So
oh my God, control everybody.
But yeah, it's my last one.
I've got two more now.
What are emotions actually for? Well, they help you make a choice. If you didn't have emotions, picking a chocolate bar would be an impossible task. There are hundreds of chocolate bars and thousands of snacks. Without emotions, you'll be standing there procrastinating all day. With emotions, everything is marked with a bodily signal that helps you choose. Which chocolate do I feel like having today? Emotions create a value system. So this is why our brains need to be conscious, because when you're conscious, you can say, oh, I feel like eating this today, I feel like doing this today, and that helps you progress through life. It helps you decide, it helps you create a value system of what's important to you. So without that, there's just too much. There's a billion options. I mean, like, even sitting here right now, I can do anything. There's so much things that I could do.
Yeah.
But my emotions lead me to do what I'm doing right now, which is talking to you cunts.
I'm gonna bleep that because you get demonetized. I mean,
but yeah,
minus monetized, literally.
But yeah, that's me.
Did you know that it's a myth that we only use 10% of our brains? Where did this idea come from, by the way? Because for some reason, it's just been a thing since I was growing up. Oh, human, we only use 10% of our brains. Yeah. So imagine if we had 90%, we wouldn't be screw-ups, but you are. So neurologists have confirmed that you actually use all of it, even when you're sleeping. I guess some people's 100% feels like 10%. I'm not sure what drives this idea that our brains are keeping things from us. There was this movie in 2011, for example, called Limitless, where this guy has these pills that let him use 100% of his brain. And he turns into this financial wizard, makes disgraceful shillings on the stock market, starts doing all kinds of shit. Police show up, they're like, you can't, It's like a little fantasy that we have where, like, what if we weren't dumb? It's like, shame, we are. And it's... How did we perpetuate this myth that we only use 10% of our brains? Where did the number 10% come from? Because I thought this was gospel scientific truth until I read this book. Or until I saw the facts online. I don't even remember where I saw it now.
No, I heard about that fact before.
No, it's disgraceful. So what else? There is a thing, I've just remembered what it's called. When a fake memory is implanted, it's called a Mandela effect. That's what it's called. Yeah. Right, it's called the Mandela effect. So for example, do you remember Curious George?
Yeah.
The cartoon?
Yeah.
Apparently, Curious George has never had a tail. Ever. And like thousands upon thousands of people swear they remember Curious George having the tail when they watched it, when they read the books.
It's this Mandela effect.
It's insane. And it's just, it happened, well, to varying degrees. You get it all over the place. But it's just like, how can this affect that many people who are all hallucinating the same thing?
Yeah.
Not possible. Feels like a good one to end on, to be fair, because there is no answer to the question.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope you learned a lot of stuff.
Well, I definitely did learn a lot of stuff. It was worth reading. As you say, it's well worth reading.
Yeah, I'd pay for that book.
100%.
It could have been longer though. I mean, it was nice. It was short, but I feel like it scratched the surface. It was a nice introduction. It was an introduction to the brain. I know I can pick up another book about the human brain and still learn loads more. Yeah,
I think, to be fair, I think much deeper, you'll be asking a lot of questions that have no answers, and you'll just be trying to make people think about stuff. So the stuff that he was giving us was information about, like... Usable information, things that we know, because we don't really know anything, but things that we know are true. The deeper you go into this is, like, you're going to be asking questions that make people think about stuff, but no one is going to have any of the answers to.
That's what you want.
I mean, maybe you do want that.
That's
Maybe,
what intellectual people do.
well, that's what they
Scholars
like to do. Yeah, they like to waste their own time. I like to waste my time doing worthwhile things like watching football,
Yeah.
watching TV.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, till next time.
Till next time.